Before I moved to New York City, I had no idea what a PA was. I didn't know what they did, I didn't know what the term stood for, and I had no idea how you got brought on to be one for a shoot. This video is a realistic look into being a production assistant for the HYPEBEAST / KidSuper / Samsung commercial that I got brought onto. All the questions that I had before moving to New York City on what it's like to do something like this, hopefully I can answer for you in this video so that you don't have to literally move here to find out. I think this is really funny in hindsight, but first and foremost, the only reason why I was considered for this gig was because I could drive, and more specifically, I was comfortable driving a big truck in the city. So the first thing we did was we went to pick up a 17-footer truck with my friend and hype maker producer Casper. I brought my film camera with me as usual, the Nikon N75, and I started off with taking these two photos by the truck pickup location. Guess what I'm doing today? That's right, driving a truck. I feel like a lot of people don't really know what it means to work in production or do any sort of shooting in New York City in like the more professional sense, where you're working for a bigger organization. And I feel like a lot of New Yorkers that work in this field don't really care to share their experiences because they think that's not really that interesting. Oh my god. So I will, because before I moved here, I realized that I didn't know anything about anything and it all seemed so fascinating. So I'm on a shoot today for HYPEBEAST. I am a PA, so I am driving. And yeah, this is my first time driving a box truck, which is what I'm doing right now. And yeah, I'll take you kind of on my shoot today. Yeah. Alright, so that's Casper, producer for this shoot. Stress as fuck. It's okay, we're getting it done. I'm convinced that if you didn't go to a film school or some sort of creative institution, the only way you get onto any of these shoots is through some combination of luck, coincidence, and networking skills, and whether or not you just become friends with people throughout your life. I met Casper through a different music video shoot where I was just an extra without pay, and he happened to be the behind-the-scenes photographer. I don't remember how he struck up a conversation, but I remember that he told me he was about to start a job at HYPEBEAST as a producer, and we kept in touch after that. A few weeks later, he told me that he had this job that he needed a production assistant for, and that specifically they needed to drive, and so I said, yeah, let's do it. Here he is at the shoot in the little corner. This was the only clip I could find of him doing his thing, taking some wonderful film photos behind the scenes. Day one was at KidSuper Studios in Brooklyn. I've driven by this place a ton of times and I've never noticed it. I feel like a lot of places in New York are like this, where there's just so many things and you could just pass by it if you don't literally stop and look at it and think about what it is. All the equipment was set up on the street, so my job as a PA for the day was essentially fire watching. Fire watching is a term used in the industry for guarding the tens of thousands of dollars of equipment that's just laying around. I think depending on who you ask, being a PA could either be pretty monotonous or really interesting. I think what's good about being a PA is that if you're not actively doing something, you have the flexibility to either rest or you can walk around set and talk to people and see what they're doing and learn about all the different positions of what's involved to make a production happen. KidSuper Studios was definitely super cool. It was like a really creative person's brain exploded into like an actual space, and it was really inspiring to see just this kind of unfettered creativity on display. And yeah, basically that's all I did until we hit this lull in the afternoon and we waited until it got dark, where we began to set up for the next shot. I really like this outdoor scene and how we sort of lit it. I feel like having the train in the background passing by while Colm was doing his thing just looked really good in camera, and I felt like it was really inspiring for me as a filmmaker and a photographer who mostly shoots at night.
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah.
Throughout the day, I was shooting expired, I think, Kodak Gold 400, so I was rating it at ISO 200, and no matter what I did, there was no way for me to get everything properly exposed because it was just so dark out. So when I scanned the film, realizing that everything was underexposed, I realized that the parts of it that fell into the shadow actually just transitioned really well into the next frame. So I decided to scan the photo as if it was a panorama, and I think the results looked really interesting.
Yeah.
That's broken.
Okay. Can we just kind of plan for that?
I've been calling these photos unintentional panoramas, and I feel like they capture exactly what it feels like to walk around Brooklyn at night, which is just a collection of memories where the gap between the memories are not filled in. You don't really remember what it was, but they're all tied together into this one continuous stream of thought. After the scene that was essentially a wrap on day one, I parked the truck back near Casper's apartment and I went home. The second day, I woke up bright and early to make sure I eat some breakfast. Here's me making coffee and playing with my cat, who bothers me every morning to give her attention because she knows that this is the only time that she'll have with me until I disappear for an entire day. I keep telling people this, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not really built for production. I'm trying really hard, but I don't think I'm built for this. So, yeah, this is me trying. It's about 9 a.m. now. And yeah, the truck is over there. Casper, the producer, I'm down on the ground floor of his apartment and basically just waiting for him to come down and get our day going. What's up?
Already, and apparently he was still in the process of trying to sign the lease with that.
It is noon. Oops, let's take this off. And I just parked the truck back there, and I have been tasked with finding snacks and also my own coffee. So, yeah, I'm gonna walk in this light drizzle and figure it out. Day 2 was at a studio space in a neighborhood called Williamsburg in Brooklyn. It's by the water facing Manhattan, and we had this really nice view of it during our shoot throughout the day. The vibe of Day 2 was definitely a lot more relaxed. I think setting up the entire shoot where the equipment was sitting outside in the street made yesterday's shoot a lot more hectic. As a run and gun filmmaker who has mostly done shoots outdoors, impromptu, with no one really helping me out, seeing a shoot be executed indoors and having it feel so relaxed definitely gave me some perspective of if one day if I were to ever have enough budget for a shoot, I should definitely invest it into a studio space. This afternoon tea scene was probably my favorite scene of the day. The light was hitting it so perfectly for just a few minutes, so I snagged the shot, and it's probably my favorite shot of the day. I think that if you're going to be a PA at some point, you're not really going to know what to expect workload-wise. It could be a lot of work, and you'll be essentially running around the whole time, grabbing things for people or doing things for people. But other times, you could just be sitting around most of the time. And for me, I was sitting around most of the time, but that really gave me time to talk with the people that I met yesterday and ask them more about what exactly that they did.
Action. Action.
Alright. Well, cheers to us, mate. You're not gonna say anything. Oh, yes.
Beautiful.
Alright, ask you this. Okay.
As you may have noticed from both of these days, the photos are looking quite deep fried, not very sharp. The colors are really off, and that's because I got these expired film from the internet. And I don't think I'm going to be using them anymore because I just can't expect any sort of consistent results.
No app, baby. Okay.
We wrapped up the interior stuff as it got dark, and we moved to a nearby soccer field to get one last scene done.
Let's kind of play back and forth. We're gonna line, and he's gonna have goalie gloves and be like kind of pretending.
After our last scene, we gathered around for a round of champagne, and it was just a really nice way to wrap up the shoot. The next day, I got up early one last time with Casper to return all of the equipment that we were using during the shoot and also the truck. We just finished We just finished dropping off the equipment, and we're about to drop off the truck. And once I do that, I think that'll pretty much be a full wrap on the shoot. Yeah, it's been a crazy 2.5 days, but it was cool at the same time. I have no clue how the photos turned out. I mean, yeah, we'll see. I mean, you have already seen throughout this video, so let me know how it is. Maybe it's trash, maybe it helped you get a better sense of what set life in New York is like.